Glimmers, how to find light in the darkness. Glimmers are small moments of connection, of joy, and they help us not only regulate our nervous system, but with our attention and presence. This helps to train the part of our brain that can get stuck in old stories, narratives, anxiety, to start to notice the good. And in the present moment is when we can start to connect with our intuition, to our spirit. So today I'm going to share with you how to find your glimmers and how to use this powerful tool to not only help revolutionize and re-regulate your nervous system, but to find more connection and joy in your day-to-day. I love a glimmer. A glimmer are small moments in our day-to-day life that help us to remember what goodness and miracles and joy is happening right now in the present moment. Glimmers are the opposite of triggers. And in terms of our spiritual work, in terms of our interpersonal work, we talk a lot about being triggered. We talk about what triggers us, but the glimmer is the opposite. This is the counterbalance. And what I love about glimmers is it really helps to start train our ego intellect, the part of ourself that can get really stuck in old story, pull from the past, project into the future, that can get anxious, that can get fearful, that can feel trapped, to start to notice the good that surrounds us. Because often when we're in deep moments of not only spiritual growth, or if we're just trying to heal, it can be a challenge to train our brains to notice what is working, because we inherently have something that is called the negativity bias. This is a biological part of our brain that often looks and scans into our lives of what's not working as a way to try and keep us safe. Now, nowadays, we don't have saber-toothed tigers that we had way, way, way back in the day. And often our triggers that can really dysregulate us, get our nervous system all over, can often, when we're practicing and learning a new way of being, can often feel like an old story that we can really get crushed by. So before I go any further, let me introduce myself. Hi, I'm Sonia. I'm a 4th generation intuitive, and I teach you how to look back into your innate divine self. Wow, I can say that really fast. If you're new, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. Don't forget to hit subscribe and that little bell notification. Today, we are talking about glimmers, the magic in the day-to-day. So first, we have to think about your nervous system. We have something called your vagus nerve. This really regulates our fight, flight, freeze complex. And when we've gone through a lot of intensity, a lot of different trauma, we're going to really stress, this dysregulates our nervous system and makes that vagus nerve very super active. I know, for example, if you're somebody who's undergoing a spiritual awakening, really having to pull through all the different pieces of your identity, of all the things, that's where life and everything can feel like just too much. Kind of like you just want to be bubble wrapped. And this practice of starting to note and pay attention to glimmers is so powerful because, one, it anchors us into the present moment. Glimmers happen all around. And when we notice these moments of connection, moments of joy, moments of safety that are even happening right now or in the past, this helps to regulate that vagus nerve to get out of fight, flight, freeze, and actually starts to activate a whole other nerve that's called the ventricle nerve. I'm pretty sure. I'm not a scientist, but I'm pretty sure it's that. And that's our nerve that regulates our safety and connection. When our vagus nerve is super activated, that fight, flight, freeze response, that often really is rooted to our root chakra, our sense of security, our sense of belonging. And if you haven't already, definitely go back and watch my videos about the importance of especially these first 3 chakras and healing them, because our base chakra is our place of safety. And in order to feel safe, our first chakra, feeling safe in the world, that then informs our second chakra. And our second chakra is all about our sensuality. It's also really important around our sense of connection. If you don't feel safe, then we don't feel safe to share with the people in our world. If we don't feel safe, which is our second chakra, that then activates our third chakra, which is our place of power in being able to speak up and out, to advocate for ourselves, to have a solid sense of identity. So when we're recognizing that the vagus nerve that activates this fight, flight, freeze, that gets super reactive, comes from this deep, really almost reptile part of ourselves that's constantly searching for threats. This is a way that we can retrain ourselves and train that little ego intellect, that barking dog, to start to notice that we are safe, to start to root us back into the present moment, start to notice what is working, which then gives us more access to our spirit, which gives us more access to our curiosity, to our compassion, to our heart space. Because if we're in danger, it's hard or feel like we're in danger, even if it's just something that's a story that's playing in our head. That immediately makes us feel isolated, alone, makes us feel that we can't share ourselves. So glimmers is the intentional practice. First, there are internal glimmers. So an internal glimmer is something of like a memory or a thought. Maybe, for example, if I think about myself, one of my internal glimmers that comes really clearly to mind is when I was with my little niece in Thailand and with my family, and she had never been in a pool before. And I had put on her little floaties and I held her tight, and I remember her face the moment that she experienced weightlessness for the first time, or buoyancy for the very first time. Just the surprise and the delight and this moment of her like grabbing onto me again to be like, oh, am I safe? And being like, yes, you're totally safe. And just feeling after a while her body relax, and then just into this incredible amount of joy. That, when I think of that memory as an internal glimmer, it opens up my heart space. It opens up my whole perspective. It reminds me of just these simple moments that often pass us by when we get too busy, and starts to, again, train that, say, what is working? What do I love? What are magic moments in my everyday life? And then we have something called external glimmers. These are ways that we can just bring our attention and our awareness to our day-to-day. Another story that I remember with my neighbor, Paulina, who I love, who first really introduced this concept to me, which for me, I'm like intuition, pay attention. This makes so much sense. But we went and had dinner together, and it was jasmine season here in New Orleans, and we went for a walk, and we stopped and we smelled every single magnolia. We smelled every single jasmine bush. And each time that I would close my eyes and then just inhale the fragrance of jasmine, it was a glimmer. It was such a fun, sweet moment that was happening right now. So start to train your awareness. Notice, what are the glimmers in your life? What are those teeny tiny things? What are those memories that you can look back on? Was it maybe the first time that you blew some bubbles? That can be a glimmer. Was it a time when you were on a walk in nature and just felt really connected? Maybe a glimmer was the last time that you got intuitive guidance and got a really fun surprise, or aha, or that moment that you're like, I knew it. When we not only start to train ourselves to see these glimmers, but take a moment to take them in, that is where we start to create this incredibly powerful shift. So where we can even just start first is set your glimmer intention. And my favorite definition of intuition is pay attention. Now, when we're in our heads, when we are disconnected from the present moment. We don't notice the magic that's going on around us. And that gets us into story. So when we can start to bring presence, all of a sudden, not only do you see this magic that's all around you, but you really start to open up to your guides, to your angels, to your intuition, to your spirit. That, for example, maybe you're having a hard day and you set your intention to find glimmers, which for me, I often think like, ask your spirit, ask your guides to bring these glimmers in. You go for a walk and all of a sudden you hit a fragrant jasmine bush it stops you in your tracks and has you stop and smell the jasmine or the roses. That is, in my world, your guides. That is a glimmer. That is one way that the universe, that our higher self start to affirm and recognize that not only that you belong, that there is joy, that there is connection, that you have so much more and so many more miracles that surround you all the time. So first, set your glimmer intention. I intend to see glimmers every single day. Setting that intention brings our awareness to start to be open to what's going on instead of our story. Expect a glimmer. These are the same rules around trusting our intuition, having an open mind, expecting our intuition to work. These are the same principles. Being open, being expectant, then you'll notice. And the best part here is where we just start to write them down. If you notice, I feel like I had it right here. This is my glimmer jar. And my glimmer jar is a practice that I have of where I write down the glimmers that happen every single day. Yesterday, my glimmer was having the first class of Psychic University and just connecting with the students, opening up my computer for the very first time and seeing my new cohort of students. I was like, this is so fun. Another glimmer that I had was I had a really great conversation with my dad that ended with a lot of belly laughs and a lot of fun. Just laughing, having that shared moment was a glimmer. And even better when we can have this glimmer system of sharing it with somebody that you love. This can revolutionize and change your conversation at your dinner table from how was your day, which is usually code for what's not working, to what were those tiny moments that felt so incredibly good. When we share our glimmers, it connects us to our heart space, raises our vibration, brings in our awareness, and also, again, helps to heal those places of heart-to-heart connection and curiosity. All sorts of people have different glimmers. And with this practice, not only do we start to retrain our nervous system to get out of fight, flight, freeze, but it actually helps us quiet anxiety, boosts our creativity, brings our presence, our awareness, helps us to see things differently. This is a massive shift in our perspective. And with that place of training our awareness, training our perspective, this also opens up to solution, has us be more gentler and kind on ourselves. And these are the portals where we can actually start to be available to support from the unseen world. So I would love for you to have this practice, set your glimmer practice. Tell me how it works for you. I have a client who, we're really training that barking dog as a way to, that ego intellect that can be very critical to start to notice the glimmers in her life. And part of our homework at the beginning of each of our sessions is to talk about the glimmers. And she's been at this practice for about a month now. And she's like, wow, after just the sustained practice and also having somebody to share it with me, she's practicing now sharing it with some of her coworkers. But she's like, all of a sudden, my perception has changed. I'm noticing my guides, my angels, the miracles, the wonder. I'm noticing that I have a lot more energy, that I sleep better, that I'm feeling better, and that I feel more hopeful in just life and in myself. And I'm just, so find your glimmers, make it a practice, set an intention, write them down, know what they are, practice being present in the most fun way, by noticing the miracle and wonder and magic that surrounds us all the time. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I absolutely love to hear from you. Leave me a comment. What are your glimmers? I would love to hear them. Now, my glimmers are music and laughing and a beautiful sunset and riding my bike and having deep conversations, all glimmers for me. A glimmer can also be just laying in my bed. Sunshine on my skin. Oof, that's such a good glimmer. So let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you. And if you're curious about chakras and how they inform or place the power, definitely check out that video. And most importantly, head to my website. You can definitely work with me. I do intuitive readings. You can learn about your soul purpose, answer specific questions. I do mentoring. If you're curious, I have a free 15-minute discovery call. So reach out, connect. Also check out my spiritual toolkit where I have a free PDF download and meditation to help jumpstart your intuition, online courses, family podcasts. I got tons of stuff and ways that I can be of service to you. So I'm sending you all my love and I'll see you next week. Bye.